Hi, I'm Alexa. It's Wednesday. Let's do it. It is a short week, but a busy week, but a shorter week than I even thought it was going to be. And I can't believe it's Wednesday. On Monday, um, we were. I had Monday off. Offices were closed for observance of Veterans Day. So, Veterans Day, I will leave a link below so you can read way more about it than I'm going to touch on. But it actually was first celebrated in 1919 as Armistice Day, and it was in recognition of the day in 1918 when a ceasefire was agreed upon and went into effect during what was at the time called the Great War, now known as World War One. And officially, World War One ended with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. I want to say it was July, but the link below has all of the exact dates. But the ceasefire had held, so the celebration ended up being held for the day the ceasefire started. Now, in I'm going to double check this because I just questioned myself. 1926. Okay, good. 1926, it became a federal holiday, uh, just like New Year's, whatever, Christmas, so on. Memorial Day, Labor Day, that kind of federal holiday. It became a federal holiday. In 1954 is when the name was changed from Armistice Day to Veterans Day, and it was to honor those whose lives were lost or those who served and were no longer uh, potentially serving, uh, veterans of the wars. And it's been a very heavy week for a lot of people in the US, at least, and myself, no exception. And with Veterans Day, thinking about the people I know who did serve, I did not serve. I actually had medical issues that I would not have been accepted. Um, I think about what people have given up, what people are continuing to give up, and the myriad reasons they may wish to join the military of their country, not just the US, but in any country. And there is such a weight with our responsibility as a society to care for those people. And one of the things I am worried about is the proposed cuts to the VA and benefits and services that our veterans rely on. I'm very opposed to some of the harsh, extreme cuts that have been proposed. I would be in support of making sure the money used is audited and used well. I'm If they need more, then we need to fully fund it. Um, it's such a complex issue, and it's not something I want to fully get into. That wasn't the intent of this. Uh, but I'm very much in support of having the right support services there for our veterans and our active duty service members who need it even before they retire from the military. It got me thinking about world events, and then obviously Veterans Day being right now this week too. It got me thinking about when I was 18 and I went. No, I was still 17. My senior year of high school, I went to France and we went to the beaches of Normandy. I've been to Arlington National Cemetery and it is big, but the beaches absolutely blew my mind. And I think it was for two reasons. So the first is that Arlington National Cemetery is in a very sort of rocky, I don't know if they're quite mountains, but it very hilly terrain. So you're only seeing little sections of it at a time as you go up and down these hills. And the beaches of Normandy, it is flat. It is wide open. There is a dune, and if I remember correctly, like a copse of trees along that edge to help break up some of the wind, but it is open and it is vast and immense. And I don't have the words to explain how huge it is. And the second thing is that Arlington National Cemetery is the resting place for US military members from multiple wars, from multiple centuries. And the beaches at Normandy are those from one war, one battle, mostly one battle. Um, w- wasn't one day, but that's what the shocking thing to me is was just how vast it was and how it was really this one minuscule time frame in the grand scheme of how long our world has been around, how long humans have been around. This was one day and look what happened. I was thinking about a Doctor Who episode, and at the end of the day, it boils down to when you fire a shot that starts a war, you do not know who is going to win, who is going to lose. And I don't mean that in terms of sides, I mean that in terms of people. You have no idea who you love might be affected. You have no idea how many children will be killed, how many, innocent people who have nothing to do with the fight of most time wars are politicians or leaders who have a political agenda on each side, right? And every war ends with people sitting down and talking. And the whole premise of this Doctor Who episode, which is it culminates in one of Peter Capaldi's absolutely best performances. I think it's one of my top like 3 or 4. It might be my number 2 because there's one that I thought was just a magnificent episode. But this speech he gives, it's so passionate and so accurate that they always come to the people who start wars, if they're still alive towards the end of it, they always end up doing what they should have done before they even fired a shot, which is to sit down and talk and to work through differences. And I think that that is a very good idea. There are certainly people in our lives, and we know this, like family members, people we've worked with, just people we know in the community, people we went to school with. We know there's certain people who are very much less likely to compromise and they will push boundaries and push boundaries and push boundaries. And I myself have been disconnected from and am disconnected from 2 family members because they never know when to stop. Outside of most most situations don't need to go there. And it's not a violent disconnection, it's just a we don't talk. But if there's a misunderstanding, why not talk it out? Why not put your cards on the table? Why not say this is my line and this is take it or leave it kind of thing? But you also when you say take it or leave it, you can't really always say take it or leave it because compromise you do have to be willing to bend in some areas. It's so complicated. I get it. I get that we feel so strongly about our positions. And I get that we can become so focused on winning that everything else, we lose sight of it. And it's almost it's our human nature and its psychology and the things that we have going on in our brains. Um, we can sometimes think that if we don't win, grave consequences are going to happen. So imagine a hunter gatherer from millennia ago who was out there, and if he didn't win that fight with that cave lion, he was dead, right? And our brains haven't evolved to understand that the conflicts we have today are really not the life and death that we would have had in the past. And so things that are really not life or death become life or death in our brains, and we become focused on how we can win and survive, which is what our brains is telling us is going to happen, is if we win we survive, when in reality we're going to survive, excuse me, even if we don't necessarily win that situation. So there's smarter people than me, more learned people than me in the fields of psychology. Obviously, I'm not licensed. I'm just fascinated by it. And I definitely know that when emotions are high, we can say and do things we don't mean, and that's positive or negative. There's a quote that goes to the effect of don't promise something when you're happy and don't end something. Oh goodness, now I've lost it again. It's like don't end something when you're mad. Don't destroy things when you're mad. Don't stop things when you're mad. Um, and the whole point of this is that we actually do things when we're happy that we think, oh, it's going to be amazing and perfect because our brain is flooded with all of these, you know, hormones and whatever. And then when we come back down to earth, we're like, wait a minute, did I just promise something? Um, and we do it. And this saying is don't do that. Let your emotions ride out and go through your body and get, you know, to the end and then think about things rationally. So with Veterans Day, obviously it's a short week. I also have some time off this Friday, so I'm like rushing even harder to try and get stuff done this week. And again, it's been a busy week with certain projects moving forwards at work, which is really nice that they're moving forwards. But we then have next week, and then the week after it's Thanksgiving, so that's a short week. Then we have like what, 2, 3 weeks until the holidays, the Christmas and Yule and New Year's, and essentially we're looking at January, and January, well, that goes by. So happy Valentine's Day already. Like it's just going to go by so quickly. And that's where I am this week is everything's going by very quickly, and obviously with a lot of deep thoughts and a lot of emotions and a lot going on. Time can both seem shorter but also longer, and it's okay. It's okay to not have the answers. I don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to have all the answers either. Not having all the answers is quite literally being human. None of us have them all. Some people might say they do, but they don't. No one has them all. If you made it this far, I thank you. I'm also going to apologize now. Kane was on the desk. I took my cover photo picture, and then there was a noise outside. And even though it was one noise, I think like a leaf or a twig or something hit a window. He had to go investigate, and I couldn't get him to come back. But he is cute and fluffy, and I love him. So I'm going to keep my cover picture. Thank you all for being here. As always, be kind to yourself.